Here we are once again, round two of these Netflix shows I've been watching. Thanks for tuning in. So, yeah, Netflix. I mean, I think it's just, I don't like to have multiple streaming services. And we could argue whether or not Laserdisc is better than DVDs, but we know that they're both better than VHS and Betamax. And owning physical copies of movies is great, greater than what you have to like digitally download. But Netflix. So let's take a look at the next batch of shows. It took me a while to do this. It took me weeks. Some shows lasted longer than others. We'll cover this really quick. So before we go into the next batch of shows, let me go over this one. I finished this one, and I gotta tell you, I so was it like 4 seasons? I think because the first one was introducing Dracula. That first season where we are introduced to these three here. We got Sonia Belnades or Sophia. We got Trevor Belmont, and we got Alucard. That first season was really good. The second one complemented the first one. So the first and second seasons were really good. The third one felt like a fucking waste. I mean, it really did. It didn't really have, it had that sequelitis plot. It didn't have a lot going on for itself. But you could tell some things were happening that would lead to season four. And when I got to season four, I swear, the best dialogue was between the two guys, Dracula's right hand men, the one that could lead demons, and the other guy that could revive animals. And I don't know if Amaya Miller loves animals, so if you could date a man who could bring back animals from the dead, what a great guy this guy is, right? But his wife who trapped him with a ring, with a pair of wedding rings. So these were rings that would bond the lover to each other by magic, by dark magic. So she's a vampire who mistreats her jailer, her future husband. She treats him like crap. And the one thing he does, which is something so admirable that women would find appealing, which is bring back dead animals, maybe pets from the dead. If you lost your cat 10 years ago, he can bring back your cat from the dead, the way, like a zombie cat, but he would be like the same cat you remembered. And she treats him like crap. I did not like the female vampires. It felt very woke. It felt very Last Jedi ish, okay? A little bit of He Man or Masters of the Universe Revolution. Because that third season where that one crazy bitch who usurped Dracula's authority, and she was there to cause problems. She was not there to get in line with what Dracula's motives were. She was like, oh, Dracula's a terrible person. Look what Dracula's doing. We should revolt against Dracula. And we saw her reign of terror, and it was shit. All these women were doing, these female vampires, these lady vampires, were just sitting there sipping, having tea. And maybe they were plotting and conquering, but most of the time they were sipping and having tea. They didn't do shit. It reminds me of the women in my life, in my family, okay? Cluck, 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 cluck. They talk shit, but they don't own up to anything. And I got a little PTSD. Besides the physical abuse my father gave me, it was the women having problems with everything, quote unquote, problems. So when I see, and she also reminds me of one of my co-stars from Vampire Masquerade. Those who are in the know will know who I'm talking about, but I won't say who she is. But she reminds me of that person who just wanted to be divisive and be a solution in search of a problem. That female vamp, the villain of the season 3 and 4, she was she was a solution in search of a problem. And when the guy, the bald, I would say Ethiopia looking dude, African dude who killed her, right? And he has a conversation. The two men that served Dracula, okay, Vlad Tepes, the two men who served, they had the single greatest conversation about life, love, and destiny and happiness, doing what is right, doing what is true. They had the best conversation I have ever seen. And it's an animated form, but it was the best conversation I've ever seen. So I think it was episode 6 of the final season of Castlevania, season 4, episode 6. Look for that. And tell me if that conversation does not move you. And that's the last time these two really talk to each other. Because the story moves on to the three characters here reconciling. Uh, Belmont, Trevor Belmont fighting the ultimate evil, the Grim Reaper, and all that stuff. So it was a nice ending. I would say 1, 2, and 4. You could look at the Cliff's notes or analysis of season 3 and skip right ahead to season 4 because um, those three of the 4 seasons are the best. Skip season 3. So that's how I feel about it. So let's move on to the ones that the newer shows. All right, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Yeah. So, I mean, did it remind me of Cyberpunk the game a little bit? I mean, it's taking one aspect. It starts out with the kid with his mother. His mother dies. There's this whole world of corruption. This kid goes from being this pouty teenager that doesn't care about life or whatever, and then he's got all these cyber enhancements, and he dies at the end. Of course, spoiler alert. But it's a wild ride. I don't think it's meant to go beyond that one season. Um, but it was fun to watch. He joined a gang that's about the neural nets and cyber technology and all this shit. I mean, in the end, I don't really care. It's a wild thrill ride, and he has a girlfriend. There's the girlfriend right there to the right. I like Rebecca. I think a lot of people like Rebecca. Um, there's a lot of stuff going on. This is like kind of like rated R, PG-13 to R kind of stuff. If you want to really rate it, you'd have to be at least a teenager to appreciate it. But it's not exactly it's a cartoon, but it's gonna go deep. So yeah, a lot of themes in here. The different kind of factions and stuff. There's big bad bosses in suits and ties. There's cybernetic enhancements. There's robberies and jobs to be done, and you see the different kind of characters in Cyberpunk, and a lot of things going on, a lot of lore. I still have my role playing game book from the 2020. I still haven't figured out how to play it yet, the tabletop game. But anyway, that's this one. So what grade will I give Edge Runners? I'll give it a B. I'll give it a solid B. Safety inspection grade B. Okay, so that was Hohemi no Bakudan there. Y'all know that. Everybody knows what that tune is. So this is the live action Yu Yu Hakusho. Kali UK doesn't understand it. I kind of understand it. I didn't understand it before. I understand it now. There are about 7 total characters, important characters here. There's 4 of them here, right? What does it call? UK says that's Mary Jane from Star Wars. That's Lurch. There's Mary Jane. That's Lurch. I don't know. I forgot this guy. Was he from Battle of the Planets? And there's the guy that's looking at his construction site. Anyway, so it's about the spirit world, the demon world, and then the demons and the humans, and the demons fighting for territory to get their world back. And you got, instead of a child with a dummy in his mouth or a pacifier, you have an adult guy with a pacifier in his mouth, which seems a little strange. This is the live action translation. It's a little weird. Um, it is fun to watch. It's only 5 episodes. It's not a long thing. Um, and there's not a lot of time to get involved with these characters. I like the visuals. I like the direction, the pacing, the storyboarding come to life here. It does. I mean, it. Some of it feels lost. I don't know what exactly. Having never seen the anime, I can't help but feel like something's lost. So basically, this dude on the left here, he dies, and he has to work with the people in the spirit world to get rid of all demons in exchange for him coming back to life because he gets hit by a car saving a child. So it's a very strange, fictional fantasy thing. I mean, I don't know too much about these things. Shonen Jump features a lot of anime. Viz Media has those little books. I have a couple of those Witchblade anime Witchblade comic books, The Legend of Zelda. So it's okay. 5 episodes. There's not too much to hate about it. Will you go back? Maybe you'll watch it again. Maybe you'll watch the anime. Maybe I can. I don't know. I have a few certain animes I like, and this isn't exactly the top of the list. So I'll give this one. I shall give it B minus. B minus, lower than I would say Edge Runner. I think Edge Runners is a better experience. Cyberpunk is a better experience than this. So B minus for the live action Yu Yu Hakusho. Sandman. This is yes, the DC Comics character, not to be confused with the Golden Age Sandman, of course, Wesley Dodds. Don't know. There must have been a crossover between Wesley Dodds and Morpheus, but we were focusing on the Morpheus, which I always thought Neil Gaiman was the real Morpheus, the real Sandman. He's just some British bloke who's just just trying to write good stories, right? I think he got off the creative high horse when DC Comics wanted to go in another direction. As it is, with all creativity, you know, you don't own Sandman, you don't own Morpheus. You write the Morpheus, and somebody else will continue the Morpheus, and then. But without Neil Gaiman and Morpheus, they're like a married couple. You can't have a Morpheus story without. I mean, you can have crossover stories, and maybe somebody like Mark Waid or Dan Didio or some of the newer writers, Kennedy Johnson, who did the Superman stories. Maybe he could cross over Morpheus, but when you're doing a Morpheus story by itself, you got to have the man. You got to have Neil Gaiman. But having said that, these were a series of stories. It was like kind of like a little bit like the Twilight Zone, where you had stories in isolation, but then you have stories that are two or three parters. Now, in this case, the last about 3 or 4 episodes are connected to each other, and everything else is in isolation. But it starts out with Sandman getting caught by a greedy bastard who wanted his son to come back, because his son died in the military. He died in the Navy, British Navy, Naval Fleet. And so he wanted his son to come back. So he put Morpheus in this glass bubble and held him there for like almost 100 years, because he wanted him to bring back his son. His other son kept him in there, didn't let him go. So there's a lot of there's a lot of imprisoned themes. You have one woman who represents, I think she's like Aphrodite or love or something like that, and she represents an aspect of humanity. You know, whereas Morpheus represents dreams, this woman represented love or creativity, or she was like the muse, right? And this guy who played Rip Hunter in the DC Legends of Tomorrow, he locks her up in his bedroom for a long time. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous shit. So it's like imprisoning people. And then there's this one where the black kid is a kid, but these white parents are just mean and abusive. Kind of hits below the belt a bit. I mean, abuse happens everywhere. It doesn't happen exactly that way all the time, but abuse happens. I know. I've been on the receiving end of that kind of shit. You can ask me anything like that. So there's a lot of narratives, some woke narratives. Just some of them are entertaining, but the wokeness did not bother me. It did not bother me. In fact, I liked the couple of episodes I liked was the one at the diner, where you had this guy. Now, this guy, his mother was the descendant of the woman who took 2 prizes from the Sandman. One was the sand, another one was his mask that you see there, his mask, and then this red pendant. And the mother, I guess the grandmother of the woman who took the stuff, because the woman who took all these 3 prizes worked with the old man who wanted to bring back his son, and so he trapped Morpheus in a bubble for 100 years. And so Sandman was not able to go back to his sleepy realm, his dream realm of dreams, and he was not able to go back for a long time. So this woman that was working as a handmaiden at this mansion, she took all those 3 things from from this old man that belonged to Morpheus, and she gave it to her granddaughter, who gave it to her son. So the great grandson has it, and he's manipulating people in this diner. And that was a good episode where everybody acts on their feelings, but it's negativity versus positivity. So it was a very good episode where everything happens in that one diner. And then the other one was this is the one with Death. Death is black. Okay. I mean, Death is portrayed as white or light skin. Not trying to be racist. But if you go back to Death in the DC Comics Vertigo, That's what I remembered. I mean, this is the first time they portrayed death in media, and so she's African American. Okay, I mean it. Um, I'm not going to worry about it. But the character of death is the same. Basically, death takes people like the Grim Reaper, takes them when it's their time. So she has that like that symbol, the sort of Egyptian symbol that looks like it's like an Ankh, Ankh, looks like the Doctor Fate symbol, and she takes people to their final resting place. There's death. There's the devil. There's Morpheus, Sandman of Dreams. There's different aspects of humanity that are characterized as folklore, like love and hate. The seven deadly sins, the seven things that make you, or the things that make you who you are, that are positive things, caring and sharing and all that stuff. So Morpheus just represents dreams, and without dreams, what can humanity aspire to? So there's this ultimate character who is there to bring people into their dreams, which disrupts humanity. So there's a whole exchange of people, and the grandmother takes the death of the girl who's supposed to die. So besides the diner episode, I'm rambling on, but besides the diner episode, I do like the one where not only do they introduce death into media, so you have death, and then he visits this guy every 100 years to catch up on old times. So they make a bet. So he gives him something, some sort of an item, and this man who should have been dead in the times of Beowulf, the medieval times, right? The times of Beowulf, the times of Charlemagne, the times just after the fall of the Roman Empire. This guy should have been dead a long time ago. He lives through the Renaissance period. He lives through the Revolution, the Redcoats and the British fighting the Americans. He lives through the 1800s, through Sherlock Holmes era, right? He lives through the early 1900s and then the 1950s and all the way to. So he was late a few years, but he shows up to see him in 2023 to go see his old friend. So there's a lot that goes on in some of these episodes. So there's a little bit of left wing politics, but it doesn't really upset being entertained. And it was fine. I like this one. What shall I give Sandman? I shall give it an A minus for Sandman. What is Unsolved Mysteries? Yes, I'm still alive. Find me on YouTube and all that other stuff. What do these kids do but play Fortnite? What is Fortnite? That's an unsolved mystery. It's all unsolved. Yes, memes and all this stuff. I can't understand the TikToks. What are these kids doing? So, no Robert Stack. I think they use his image at the beginning. I think the family's happy about it. I'm sure the family watches all those episodes. So, no Robert Stack. He's been gone for 20 plus years. We miss Robert Stack, and you can actually find a clip of him from Basketball if you look it up on the YouTube. Basketball, the one with the creators of South Park. So he's actually in the movie. What a great final performance. Besides Timo Supremo and Disney's Recess, but yeah. So Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, it was. These are documentaries. These are real things that happen. There were a couple of episodes that stuck out at me. Yeah, the UFO ones and the ghost stories. I don't know what to think of those. There was a Native American one where there's the legends that come to life, and you're just like, what? How do you explain these legends? Are they real or not? If I saw a fucking like Sasquatch or some creature that didn't belong in the family tree of animals or human, I would shoot that thing. I would shoot that thing. I'm kind of tired of hearing these stories where they see the creature and they're like, oh, I gotta get a picture of it. I gotta get a video footage. No, you beat the shit out of it, okay? And you drag its carcass into the house and you take pictures, okay? And you show video footage. Like, show me the footage. And then you bring your friends over and you're like, here, I killed this thing. Like, oh my God, what is this thing? It looks like it's got a devil's tail and like fangs that are like 3 feet long. What is this thing? It's not even human. It's like it's a bizarre creature. It's like, yeah, It's like, you sure this is not a joke? No, look at it, smell it. Ugh, what is this thing, right? I would be like, those kind of stories are like bizarre. Okay. But most of the stories on Unsolved are unsolved murders or missing people. But there are two that stuck out. This one that happened in Europe where the man killed his family. This man was a devoted Catholic, like his wife. They were both two devoted Catholics. And then they had kids together. And this man killed his whole family and the dog. Killed the dog too, the little dog too, and disappeared. Like threw all of the corpses in underneath the house. Like ridiculous. And then there was another one where a guy fell off the ledge of a building, and the way he fell was very, very strange. He fell through a ceiling, but the fall was inconsistent with how he jumped and the angles and everything. And it was just very strange. Like nobody can really know unless you look at everything. Like how can you, like, unless he was dropped from a high point, like an airplane or a helicopter. But was there a helicopter that night? This guy was doing business with somebody. He had a wife. He left behind a wife. And like the way he fell and died was just highly unusual. So there were a couple of unsolved mysteries that really stuck out in my mind. So for this one, I'll give it a B plus. Yeah, B plus. I'll say it's not exactly an A, but I'll give it a B plus for that. So there you go, B plus for Unsolved Mysteries. And you already know what I got. You already know the grade that I gave for Masters of the Universe Revelation, right? You already know what I gave for this shit. Thanks, Kevin Smith. What shall I give it again? What do I give it? What's the grade? That's right, solid fucking C. So that concludes round 2 of Netflix reviews. I might look at the Kevin Hart series Lift if it's any good. There's also more stuff coming up. I hope we can see more of One Piece Wednesday. I forgot the other one. What was the other one? One Piece Wednesday. Castlevania is done. So more of those two shows. And yeah, there's more projects to come. Oh, also season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy wouldn't hurt. So yeah, there you go. That's it. And next coming up will be some video gameplay, Sunday Night Gaming, and an old manual from 1995 of a certain video game console that I got in 95 that I paid $150 for. You might have guessed what it is, but we'll have fun looking at this manual. We'll enjoy it, we will like it, and we'll read it, and that's all there is to it.